This is the Wrestling Old Head. You have entered the portal of pro wrestling.
What the world is watching.
AEW Dynasty, I almost said Dynamite. AEW Dynasty is going to be this Sunday in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And we're going to be breaking down the card like a shotgun. I'm going to give you some of my predictions for the event this Sunday and kind of, give you where I feel like the card is going to go, who's going to win, etc., etc. And you're welcome in the comments to let me know who you think is going to win and what you think of my predictions. Let me know down below, and stay tuned to the end of the video. I got some other surprises for you as well. So for now, we're going to break down the card. For the Women's Owen Hart Cup Tournament first round match, Julia Hart is going to wrestle Mercedes Moné. Now, where I feel this is going, a lot of people have said, Athena and Mercedes Moné are the favorites because they're in this Owen Hart Cup Tournament. Now, Mercedes Moné is the TBS champion. I don't know if they're going to do something where Mercedes Moné is going to try and wrestle the women's championship away from Toni Storm. I know they had teased a confrontation between Athena and Mercedes Moné. I know a lot of people are wondering if we're going to get Toni Storm against Mercedes Moné at All In, because it is a stadium and they're going to try and really beef this event up. I get that. I think what we're more than likely going to get is we're going to get something with Athena and Mercedes Moné at All In. And how we get there is a good old-fashioned you screwed me, I screw you scenario. So what we're going to get is more than likely Mercedes Moné is going to lose via an interference or distraction from Athena. Then Mercedes Moné is going to likely cost Athena a match, and then that's going to lead to a match between the two for the TBS championship, and then they might even merge and do the women's championship and the TBS championship, something to that degree. I don't know how we get there necessarily, but I feel like that's probably where we're going to go with this. I just think it makes a lot of sense to go in that direction instead of pitting the TBS champion or even Athena against Toni Storm when you've been building up thus far, at least as early as this past Saturday on Collision, you've been building towards Athena and Mercedes Moné. Although one could argue they've been building to this since Billy Stark showed up on Dynamite. You knew that eventually Athena was going to show up. So because of that, though, I don't feel like Mercedes Moné is going to be a first round and out in this tournament. I think they're going to at least get her to the second round. So because of that, I'm going to go with Mercedes Moné. I also feel like with Julia Hart, she's kind of in an in-between space right now, coming out of the throes of the House of Black with Malachi leaving and becoming potentially Alistair again, that, she's still trying to, come out of the shadows of that a little bit. And very similar to what's going on with Brody King, is it's kind of this in-between space. Although who wants to bark with Brody is money, and I don't know why they're not having him at least in this Owen Hart Cup tournament coming out of the second round. But with that win that he had this past Saturday, I feel like Brody King is probably going to be a first round and out against Konosuke Takeshita, but that's for another video. For now, I'm going to go with Mercedes Moné. She beats Julia Hart. And then for the men's Owen Hart Cup tournament first round, they have a match there between Will Ospreay and Kevin Knight. Now, Kevin Knight is substituting for legitimately injured Jay White, who they wrote off TV this past Wednesday on Dynamite, Jay White wrestled Kevin Knight on Saturday at Collision. Now, I don't know if that injury took place during that match or if Jay White worked through that injury. I mean, he looked fine in the post-match promo that he cut where he was giving Kevin Knight a lot of praise, so I'm not really sure what actually happened there. But all I know is that, Kevin Knight comes from New Japan Pro Wrestling. I think he had a stint in TNA, if I'm not mistaken, with Kushida. They might have had a tag team match there or two. I do know that he's got a load of potential, and he apparently chose AEW over the WWE, which is pretty big considering the momentum shift there between NXT and Evolve and everything that's going on over there. AEW doesn't really have a whole lot as far as development goes, but Kevin Knight saw something that brought him over to the AEW side, and so there's a lot of promise in that. I think the guy's got a world of talent. He's an amazing athlete. I don't feel that this is the time to have him beat somebody like Will Ospreay. Now, a lot of people are wondering about the wild card and who that might be. I've had my thoughts. If you want to ask me right now, I would say that it's probably Jeff Jarrett. It just makes more sense. Although perpetually, he has kind of been tied to the Owen Hart Cup tournament as far as his relationship with it goes, based on his friendship with Owen Hart. I think, rest in peace. So I do feel like they kind of left that in the air, like Jeff Jarrett left. He had a program with MJF. MJF said something about Owen Hart and Jeff Jarrett that apparently crossed the line, and Jeff Jarrett was trying to go for a world title shot, and then he lost, and then he disappeared. So I feel like that would tie that loose end up a little bit if he showed up as the wild card. And then there's a history there with Hangman Adam Page that they can rediscover, reignite, whatever. So I think there's something to go with in that regard. But I don't know if wild card works. I mean, he'd be first round and out, because I feel like Hangman Adam Page would at least go on to the second round, or at least he should, So I don't know where they would actually go with that. I tossed it in because it made a lot of sense. I've seen a lot of people talk about Josh Alexander. But here's the thought. What about Darby Allin? I know Darby Allin is going to be climbing Mount Everest and everything, But, I just remember there was one match on Dynamite, probably the last match on Dynamite, that really got me looking at it, and I was going like, oh, shit. And I had a legitimate smile on my face. And it was between Darby Allin and Will Ospreay. I remember they tore it up. They fucking killed it, and it was a mix, because with wrestling, it's a little bit of everything, It's crowd participation and investment. It's the passion and the chemistry of the wrestlers when they're in the ring. It's their ability to kind of let time slow a little bit and let things breathe. And with Will Ospreay and Darby Allin, when they had that match on Dynamite, I felt like it had like a good mixture of everything. And I know a lot of people think that, Will Ospreay's not that much of a guy that sells, Darby Allin, whatever. They killed it. They had a clinic. And so, anyway, so it got me thinking that maybe in the finals of this Owen Hart Cup tournament, it'd be pretty badass if it was Darby Allin against Will Ospreay, since, they killed it last time. It would be a great finals match for Double or Nothing, and there has been a continuous rumor that we would see Darby Allin challenge and eventually dethrone Jon Moxley at All In. So there is a lot of a correlation there with a lot of the rumors. If Darby Allin were to come in as the wild card against Hangman Adam Page, it would make a lot of sense. So that would be interesting. So because of all of that, long story short, I'm going to go with Will Ospreay to get the win here. Probably a handshake at the end. Give Kevin Knight the rub from the face of the company. It's not the worst thing that they can do. Jay White bigged him up. Now Will Ospreay bigged him up. All three have come from New Japan Pro Wrestling. So it's not the worst thing that they can do. Although Kevin Knight going 0-2 is a little weird, but it doesn't seem like they're worried about a lot of losses, especially when there's 50-50 booking going on there with that. So, and that's not a dig or anything. That's just the way it is, keeping it thou wow here. So Will Ospreay, I think he's going to move on to that. Now for the AEW World Tag Team Championships, the Learning Tree, Big Bill and Brian Keith, are going to wrestle the Hurt Syndicate. Now, I've done videos before on, or at least I believe I did. I don't know if they actually made YouTube, but I've definitely done videos where I've talked about who I think should dethrone the Hurt Syndicate, Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin. And I really feel like it should be Hangman Adam Page and Swerve Strickland. I've said that for a couple of weeks, and we got a huge hint that we may see a Swerve Strickland Hangman Adam Page tag team in the future with their interaction that they had this past Wednesday on AEW Dynamite. Now, I think that they're doing an interesting job of kind of threading a bunch of stories, and hopefully they make them all make sense. Like, you've got MJF that's trying to bid for a position in the Hurt Syndicate. You've got MJF who had a problem with Hangman Adam Page. You've got Swerve who lost to Bobby Lashley in December. You can tie all of this up and really make something good with it. Now, if Swerve Strickland is really not going to be the AEW World Heavyweight Champion after Sunday's Dynasty, a tag team title shot against the Hurt Syndicate with Hangman Adam Page isn't the worst thing that they can draw up for him. That's all I'm saying. So, because of that, I mean, obviously I'm going to give Hurt Syndicate the win here. I think it's an interesting build that they've had. I thought it's been interesting. It's been good. It's given Big Bill and Brian Keith a lot of momentum. It's very interesting that Chris Jericho hasn't been involved in this. Like, I think that the interaction between Chris Jericho and MVP would be money. I don't know if, there was something in the contract or in their meeting that they had. There was a rumor that there was a meeting between the two that MVP and Chris Jericho can't, interact with each other on air or even backstage or whatever. But it would be money for those two to at least have some sort of interaction. So maybe we'll see it at the pay-per-view, but who knows? Because they do have real animosity, but I also know those two to be very professional and be able to do business together. So it wouldn't, shock me if they at least had some kind of a promo battle back and forth. And I think if those two got personal, it would become a viral moment very fast. They just have to be able to conduct themselves in a way to where they wouldn't personally get offended. So interesting that they didn't do that. I think not a whole lot of formidable challengers here for the Hurt Syndicate, so this is the best they can do, and I don't think they were too shabby. This is not that bad of an idea. But like I said, I think that eventually Hurt Syndicate are going to get dethroned by Swerve and Hangman Adam Page, so I'm going with the Hurt Syndicate here. Now for the AEW TNT Championship, Daniel Garcia is going to meet the challenger, Adam Cole. Now, they did a very old-school build-up with this match. I mean, very 80s booking, where they had a couple of matches. There was a time limit draw, some other shenanigans, and now they're going to have a match where it's no time limit, no interference. There must be a winner. Now, with Daniel Garcia, I don't think they've done a really good job of getting the crowd to care about Daniel Garcia or be emotionally invested in a way for his character to get over. Like, who is Daniel Garcia? Now, they've tried. I think they did a video package a couple of pay-per-views ago before he won the TNT Championship where they had him cut a promo about his upbringing, very similar to what they did with Powerhouse Hobbs. They had Daniel Garcia's mother. She was in the crowd. So they've been trying to get the fans to get behind Daniel Garcia, and I don't know, for one reason or another, he just hasn't been able to gather the momentum. And with the TNT Championship, him being the TNT champion and not really having anything to do is kind of defined down the championship. Now you got guys like Kenny Omega that has the international championship, and he makes that championship look like the secondary title when really it should be the TNT championship. And I think because of that, Adam Cole having the TNT championship would bring some more prestige and attention to the TNT Championship. It'll give Adam Cole something to do where Adam Cole hasn't really had a whole lot to do, and he really needs something to freshen him up. Right now, he's with Undisputed Kingdom. Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong are out there with him, but Matt Taven and Mike Bennett have been nowhere to be found, and kind of felt like Matt Taven and Mike Bennett might turn on Adam Cole and join with MJF during their final match, but that never happened. And then since then, Matt Taven and Mike Bennett have disappeared when they should have turned on Adam Cole in the Undisputed Kingdom. So that was kind of weird. It seemed like somebody pivoted or changed their mind last minute there. So that was very weird. And since then, it's like Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong have been looking for something to do. And you've got the Ops, you've got Samoa Joe and Hook and Katsuyori Shibata that have kind of been, looming around as well. So you can do something with Adam Cole and Samoa Joe with the TNT Championship. And, there's a lot of history with those two as well. So, I mean, it's not the worst thing you can do. And then you can, focus on maybe turning Daniel Garcia heel again or giving him a situation to where the fans can get behind him and give him some more momentum. I just think with this championship, he's not getting a whole lot of momentum, and it's not doing him any favors. So that's why I'm going to go with Adam Cole to win this, because I think it just would help both people out and both people involved to just move on amicably and give the TNT Championship to Adam Cole and give Daniel Garcia something else to do in the meantime. So I'm going to go with Adam Cole there. A Ring of Honor World Championship match, title versus mask. Chris Jericho puts his title on the line, and Bandito puts his mask on the line. Now, I don't know if AEW is going to allow Bandito to be the first masked luchador wrestler to lose his mask in AEW, although it wouldn't be a bad idea. I feel like they've been really pushing Bandito since his return, and, for the optics of it all, TK lost Rey Fenix, who's going to be debuting in the WWE pretty soon, and Pentagon. And with the luchadors, there hasn't been a whole lot of traction. I think TK is trying to do the best he can. I've heard people throw around the whole luchador against luchador, and that's all you can do with them type of thing. I think both companies do it. I've seen Paul Levesque do it a lot, So it's not like one company or another here that's doing the luchador versus luchador thing. I think they all do to a degree, and I think it's nice that they're giving Bandito this program. Being a former Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Champion that he is, I think it would be nice for him to dethrone Chris Jericho. I think it'd be a huge moment instead of him losing his mask, in my opinion. So I am going to go with Bandito. I think this also sets in motion the eventual learning tree being chopped down, the chopping down of the learning tree, maybe some dissension between Chris Jericho and Big Bill, because they're going to lose that tag title match. Now, if Bandito wins the Ring of Honor champion, learning tree is going to be without championships, and Chris Jericho is going to be casting blame there. And this has also been another old school type of feud between these two, with Bandito, his brother Gravity getting his mask taken by Chris Jericho, the family being involved. Very old school as well. So yeah, I think what we're going to get is Bandito avenging his family and winning the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Championship. So I'm going to go with Bandito here. Now, for the Trios Championships, the Death Riders, Claudio Castagnoli, Pac, and Wheeler Yuta defend against Rated FTR, Cope, Cash Wheeler, and Dax Harwood. Now, they've been teasing tension between, or at least a change in attitude from Dax Harwood. Cash has been upset with Dax. And I like how they've been slowly building this with strong story beats in between to keep you interested and coat this in a little bit of a mystery, shroud this in mystery. Are FTR breaking up? Will Cope be the one that binds them together? Or are we seeing a new FTR where they turn on Cope? Now, if the plan is for FTR to turn on Cope here and kick off a feud between Cope and FTR and somehow add Christian Cage into the mix, I am really interested to see how they're going to bring Christian into this scenario where he isn't an asshole stepdad and he's actually cheered. Because I would have done the opposite. I would have put Cope in a situation to where he turned heel and joined up with a heel Christian Cage. But they have kept Christian Cage off TV since I think the Dynamite after his cash in or whatever. So maybe they are going to try and bring him back as a face and reunite with Cope. It'll be interesting to see what they do. I think a lot of people are wondering if they're going to win the Rated FTR are going to win the Trios Championships. I don't think so. I think what we're going to see is the Death Riders are going to win this one. I know the wrestling math isn't in favor of this, but I think we're going to see some kind of shenanigans, some kind of botched interference or something like that. And I just think the Rated FTR are not going to, I don't think they're going to win. Or they give them the win and then they have dissension, but I'm going to go with the Death Riders on that one. And it's tough, but I'm going to go with them on that. Now, in a three-way dance for the AEW International Championship, 3 men in the same ring at the same time. Kenny Omega defends his international championship against Ricochet and Speedball Mike Bailey. This match was kind of thrown together. There was a triple threat match that ended up with a double pin, and those two winners now are going to face Kenny Omega. Kind of thrown together. I understand why, because, hey, they're going to have a great fucking match. And sometimes with the booking of AEW, that's all that matters at the end of the day. I think you get Kenny Omega that wins this. I think it's going to be great. Back and forth match. I think it's going to be a showcase mostly for Ricochet, who, coming off of his wedding, and Speedball Mike Bailey, who has debuted not too long ago. Going to kind of showcase them. I mean, all three guys are super athletic, kind of a dream match for those independent wrestling fans out there, and I think they're going to really steal the show. I'm going to give Kenny Omega the win here because I still think that what we're leading to is a combining of the international and continental championships at All In. So Kazuchika Okada, conspicuous by his absence on this pay-per-view, along with Hangman Adam Page and MJF, I think you might see Okada come out and confront Omega after Omega gets this win. So look out for that. Megan Bayne is going to challenge Timeless Toni Storm for the AEW Women's World Championship. Toni Storm is Hulk Hogan right now in the late 80s, early 90s. She's on a historic run, and she's going to win this against the Beast in Megan Bayne. I think, this is a chance to really, give us a chance to see what Megan Bayne is capable of. I think it's a little too early to put the World Championship on her. I think obviously executives, Tony Khan sees a lot in Megan Bayne to put her in this scenario, or maybe they just didn't know what else to do with Toni Storm. Regardless of that, I think that this could be a chance for Megan Bayne to really make an impact here. And Toni Storm's going to win this, obviously. And she's going to go on to face the winner of the Owen Hart Cup, whether it be Thunder Rosa or Jamie Hayter. I would personally like to see it be Jamie Hayter, but we'll see what happens there. I think Toni Storm needs it too in her hometown of Texas in a stadium, but I don't know if they are confident in Thunder Rosa at this point. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what they go with, but I'm going to go with Toni Storm here. For the AEW World Championship, Jon Moxley defends against Swerve Strickland. Now, their build-up to this has been all over the place. They had the glass spot. So, but then, okay, so wrestling math here is that the person that gets gets a one-up on their opponent, usually the person that was the recipient is the one that's going to win, if Swerve Strickland hit Jon Moxley with a chair and stood over him, Jon Moxley's winning, right? That's normally how you would look at it. They tried to do some tricky shit on Wednesday's Dynamite. They had the mixed tag match go on first, and Swerve and Willow won. But then Jon Moxley put Willow Nightingale on the mat with the Death Rider or the DDT or whatever, right? So then Swerve was like, I'm going to get some revenge. But then he got jumped by the Death Riders, and they powerbombed him on the glass. But then Swerve got up and was like, yeah, that didn't hurt me at all. So it's kind of a weird thing that they got going on here. Now, I know that for a while, the rumor is that Darby Allin, as I mentioned earlier, that Darby Allin is going to win eventually by dethroning Jon Moxley, more than likely at All In. So since that is the rumor, to me it seems like that's probably what's going to happen. But something tells me that because Jon Moxley hasn't been favored as AEW World Heavyweight Champion, not just by the WWE fans or the people that don't like AEW, but by actual AEW fans, they're starting to get sick of Jon Moxley as a champion. Very similar to when Raven was ECW World Champion not too long ago, 1996, 1995. ECW fans were fucking sick of him with the championship, and then WCW fans were sick of Hulk Hogan. It's a very similar thing that they got with this Jon Moxley situation, so they can either play into that hate or they can pivot and put the championship on Swerve Strickland. Now, if you've been listening this far to my predictions, you guys are real ones. I want to let you guys know that right now. I'm going to say that I would like to see Swerve team with Hangman go for the tag team titles. So because of that, my pick to win is going to be Jon Moxley. Jon Moxley has not offended me to the point where I just don't want him to be the AEW World Heavyweight Champion. It's not offended me at all. I don't know what has happened with this feud. I believe that this storyline probably had 2 or 3 different endings thus far. And they've just pivoted and moved the goalpost and moved the goalpost and moved the goalpost. And I think they are waiting for Darby Allin to come back because their hope is that he's going to get a huge pop. Their hope is that they can give Darby Allin a chance to be the AEW World Heavyweight champion after his loyalty, after all that he's done for the company, and after getting that rub from Sting. He was in a retirement match with Sting, and so I think that means a lot. And I think Sting has probably said this guy needs a shot. He needs a chance to be the AEW World Heavyweight Champion. And I can believe it. I believe in Darby Allin. So because of that, I don't think that anything has really happened. I mean, TK doesn't seem to give a fuck about the ratings, okay? So the ratings being down and all that, I don't think Tony Khan gives a fuck about that. And he's very hard-headed. When he has a vision, he wants to see it through no matter what. See the Acclaimed against Swerve in Your Glory, for instance. He could have pivoted and given the Acclaimed the win that night at the pay-per-view. Instead, he didn't, and then he had to change his mind and give them the titles in New York. You know what I mean? So I think Tony Khan, if his vision is to give it to Darby Allin, he's going to want to see that through. So I'm going to give Jon Moxley the win here. I think you get some kind of interference from Hangman Adam Page or Ricochet. I think you're going to see a whole lot. It's going to be an overbooked mess. And hopefully it's not crazy with the railroad tie nails or, crazy with the barbed wire or scissors. I hope that somebody doesn't get their ear cut off with scissors or somebody gets a weed whacker to the tongue. You know what I mean? I hope they don't go hardcore like that, but it wouldn't surprise me given the 2 individuals involved and the type of personal line crossing, habitual line stepping that's been going on. I wouldn't be shocked at all if they go hardcore with it. So that's my predictions. A lot of late build, a lot of matches that were seemingly thrown together, but AEW does pay-per-views like no other. They always knock them out the park. Even if it's a substandard type of a deal, you at least get 1 or 2 great matches or memorable moments. So they've never had a problem doing pay-per-views. It's about threading the pay-per-views and the television shows, and you can tell they're working on it. So that's my predictions. You guys let me know what you think in the comments about my predictions and where you think these matches are going to go in your minds. Thumbs up on the way out, you guys. Keeps the portal growing and expanding. Thank you so much to everybody that has done it thus far. I could not do this without you, and I appreciate you all. So this is the Wrestling Old Head letting you know, stay tuned for more.